First of all, I say to Mr. Becerras, it's nice to see you again. Since you testified before the committee that I chaired, it was 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago. And when I was chairman in that position, as you well know, I was proud to spearhead a lot of the permitting reforms in MAP 21 as well as in the FAST Act that we passed. In your remarks, you mentioned that there are many opportunities to streamline project delivery through updates in the Endangered Species Act. In fact, 2 weeks ago, the EPW committee held a hearing on reforming the Endangered Species Act. In Oklahoma, we have the American burying beetle, which has caused substantial delays in building roads and bridges in spite of the numerous conservation efforts by impacted stakeholders. It's kind of interesting because we were talking about the difficulty is to delist or reduce a listing. And it seems like it's easy to list, but very difficult to delist. And this is something that we're wanting to change. You got any suggestions on what Congress can do right now in terms of this concern we have?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. Your comment is very on target because, you know, in government, it's always easy as we add to programs, but as a government, it's really hard to take away. And so that's something that we focus on internally is we ask ourselves, what will we not do in order to be able to get to this priority? And in fact, in the 43 years since the Endangered Species Act was enacted, there's over 1,600 species that have been listed, but only 47 have been delisted. So it seems like we're maybe not making the progress we wanted to there. You know, I think one of the most important things, and this is speaking as a state obviously, is that Congress can really work to ensure that states are more actively listened to and can be involved. We have a good working relationship with our U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, but we don't think they completely understand that we care as much or more so about our environment in Utah. And we don't need to be protected by U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah, I would have to say that we went through the same thing in Oklahoma. In fact, it was about 4 years ago, I guess, that the director of Fish and Wildlife, we asked them to come by, and on 2 occasions, we had a hearing about that. He came back with a complete mind change, that the people who are the landowners have every bit as much, if not more, concern for the environment and for all of the, and so I think that's an observation that's not confined to that. Now, also you might address not just endangered species, but some of the regulations, the EPA regulations. We have to deal with these in every time we pass a bill like we did in the FAST Act. What would you say about the problems that arise from the over-regulations that we are subjected to?
Well, you know, the people that are administering the laws that you passed are well-intentioned people. I like to remind them that it's their job to administer the law. It's not their job to save the planet from us. But some of the things I would say specifically that we could look at is maybe looking at transportation conformity. And Congress could make several changes to improve our project delivery by taking a look at the various cycles that we have on what we call our state implementation plans, or SIPs, and how that lines up with the National Ambient Quality Standards, and require that the initial transportation conformity does not apply until 6 months after EPA approves the SIPs to the motor vehicle emission budgets. We'd ask that you maybe consider excluding marginally non-attainment and attainment maintenance from transportation conformity requirements, since they are in compliance with the Clean Air Act. Yeah. And this is a sore point for Utah. We have some geography that creates a challenge for air quality. We live most of our population lives in a basin. And so our atmospheric and our geography create a challenge where we are not in conformity on an air quality issue. We would like for those types of factors to be taken into account when they make these determinations.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think we did that. I know in the FAST Act, and at that time I was chairing the committee on the Environment Public Works Committee, and Senator Boxer even agreed to some of these changes, and it made a huge difference in terms of miles that we could construct, and we are doing that. My time's about expired, and I wanted you to just get on record saying something about the the spectrum. In your testimony, you highlighted the need for preserving spectrum and the need to expand rural broadband to support the implementation of autonomous vehicles. Any comments you want to make about that, to expand on that?
We think we are right at the forefront right now of being able to realize the tremendous benefits from these tremendous new vehicles that we have, the autonomous and the connected vehicle. And the DSRC spectrum is critical for us to be able to allow our vehicles to talk to each other and to the infrastructure. So we ask that Congress protect that spectrum to be able to preserve this opportunity to realize these benefits.
Thank you very much. It's nice to have you back in the committee here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Inhofe, and your good work on the last highway bill, which is